Hey guys, so today's video is a guide to balancing your skateboard or longboard. If you're having trouble with where you should stand on the board, weight distribution, balancing, and all that good stuff, this video is going to help you. A disclaimer as well, I'm just going to be tackling those things. If you don't know how to push, how to foot brake, which stance you should be in, goofy or regular, I highly recommend you check out the Lanyards video on how to skate. I'm going to link it here, and yeah, it should teach you basically everything you need to know. First off, let's talk about where to stand on the board. You want to stand closer to the front because that's where the best balancing and control is. If you stand too far back, you're going to make your board turn like a shopping cart, and when you're skating it's going to twitch, and as you pick up speed it's likely going to wobble. For your foot positioning, you're going to want to have your front foot as close to the front bolt. If your deck is a top mount, you can have it directly over the front truck, and that will give you a lot of control. For your back foot, you can either place it on the middle of the board over the back trucks. Now, some boards are really short, so you actually have to place your back foot on the kicktail so that you're comfortable. But if you can't place it on the back bolts, placing it on the kicktail can put too much input into the back truck, and that can not be the best control. But if you can't help it, then I guess it's fine. Next, let's quickly talk about weight distribution. Where should you place majority of your weight on the board? So you want to place majority of the weight on your front foot, and you also want to turn with your front truck. The way to do this is by putting pressure on your front leg, put weight on your front leg, or if that doesn't come naturally, you can also bend your front leg slightly and lean forward. Doing any of those things will naturally put more weight on your front foot, and this will give you better turning, better control, and better stability as the board picks up speed as well. Let's talk about balancing on your longboard. Now, I want you to imagine on your board that there's a center line like this running from the tip all the way to the tail. Now, if you were to stand on this board and focus your weight on this point, focus your weight on the center line, the board is just going to go straight and it will not turn at all. And if you were to put weight on the other side, the board would react by turning in the given direction. For example, if you put weight on the right hand side, the board will turn right. If you put weight on the left hand side, the board will turn left. More on that later. Now let's talk about balancing the center line and foot positioning. So for the best balancing possible, you're going to want to have equal amounts of your foot on either side of the center line. For example, something like this. This will give you the best natural balancing, and you should be able to go straight. It'll be the easiest way to ride your board. Now, as you have equal amounts of your foot on either side of the center line, you can pivot around the center line to find a position that's comfortable for you. Of course, there's some positions that aren't going to be the best, and I'll talk about them later. And another thing that I'll talk about more in a little bit, focus your weight on the center point, or rather like in the middle of your foot, or whichever part is over the center point, and this will also give you the best balancing possible, and the board will keep going straight. Now let's talk about what your weight does for turning and how to apply it. So if you have your foot in this position, if you put weight on your toes, the board is going to turn right. If you put weight on your heels, the board is going to turn left, and vice versa depending on how you ride the board. You might be goofy or regular. The easiest way to do this is by applying pressure, or if that's difficult, you can also simply look where you want to go. So let's say you're standing on the board. If you look left, you're naturally going to lean left and turn left. If you look right, you're naturally going to lean right and turn right. So the easiest way to do it is simply look where you want to go. And also, if you do want to go straight, you can simply look dead ahead, and the board isn't going to turn in any direction. As we progress through this, keep in mind everything else that I've talked about, as it all builds up to you having a positive skate experience. Don't learn one thing and then neglect the other. It's all building up, so take it step by step. Now let's talk about foot positioning and which foot positioning is probably going to be the best for you. Let's look at what can be considered bad foot positioning. So if you have your leg like this directly over the center line, yes, you are going to be balanced, you are going to be going straight, but it's not going to be easy for you to apply pressure and to make the board turn either left or right. It's going to be very difficult. This is what I would consider pretty bad foot positioning if you're just standing and balancing on your board. Of course, this is the typical foot positioning for pushing. So yeah, so there are different foot positionings and they're all appropriate for different things. So the best foot positioning if you're just balancing and going straight on your longboard is either going to be this with your foot perpendicular or at 90 degrees with the center line, or like this with your foot at about 45 degrees. Now with your feet like this, it's going to be very easy for you to apply pressure for the board to turn either left or right. Like this is going to be a bit comfortable for some people, and you can really pivot about the center line to find a foot position that works best for you. And whilst we're here, let's also talk about what your back foot should do. Your back foot can really copy your front foot, but most of the time you're going to kind of want to keep it still, keep it like this. It's going to be very awkward for it to be like this. So most of the time it's either going to be like this or like this or like this, just in a position that's comfortable for you. Finally, whilst we're still on the topic of foot positioning and turning, you're always going to want to turn the board with your front foot. This will give you the best stability and the best control. Back foot turning can make your board not feel very controllable, and at speed it can even make it twitch and ultimately wobble. It's not very good, so you're going to want to turn with your front foot. I'll be talking about foot positioning and turning and pushing and all that good stuff in the next video as well.